Hi everyone, my name is Denvar Summers. I became an organisational psychologist by studying a combined organisational master's and PhD at the University of Adelaide, and currently I'm employed as a human systems scientist for the Australian Department of Defence. Now in this video I'll describe the terms organisational culture and climate, and I'll show the importance of an organisation's work safety climate. Now, when you walk into an organization, you might first notice the physical layout, how people are dressed and how they talk to each other. What differences do you think you'd notice between, say, a lawyer's office, a mechanic's workshop, and a school? You'd also begin to notice differences in professional behaviors and attitudes about how things are done. All of these differences make for different organizational cultures. If the organizations are successful, the behaviors and attitudes are passed on to new members as the correct way to act. So you might hear organizational culture referred to as the way we do things around here. Now, particular parts of an organization's culture, such as the behaviors and attitudes related to work safety, have been described as the organization's climate, in this case, work safety climate. Now, let's imagine two different safety climates at your school. When you're in a chemistry class, mixing some chemicals, and your teacher notices you aren't wearing safety goggles or gloves. In the first scenario, your teacher tells you to just be careful. In the second scenario, your teacher stops the class and reminds everyone they need to put on goggles, gloves, and lab coats before the class can continue. Now, which safety climate is less likely to result in someone getting hurt? Hopefully, you picked the second one, which would reduce the risks of spilling chemicals on your hands or splashing them in your eyes. Now, safety accidents occur in all workplaces. An example from my research involves a mining employee working a machine borer, which crushes rocks and feeds them to the back of the machine. It's the machine in this picture on this slide. Now, at some point, the machine became jammed with rubble, and instead of following the appropriate procedure and stopping the machine, clearing the rubble and restarting it, to save production time, the employee just cleared the rubble with the machine still on, which, after the rubble was cleared, continued operating, trapping the employee between the machine and the rock face, unfortunately killing him. Now, in 2022, Australia reported over 130,000 serious work injury claims and 169 deaths. Now, work injuries like this cost Australia almost $2 billion a year. Organizational psychologists can help to develop and maintain positive safety climates by measuring managers' and workers' attitudes and behaviors towards safety. My PhD research involved developing a brief work safety climate measure that can be used regularly to identify emerging safety issues so they can be corrected before they become critical and lead to accidents. One item from this brief measure is, we who work here break safety rules in order to complete work on time. If many workers agree with this statement, it could lead to the kind of mining site accident I mentioned, and there would be an obvious need to review why workers act like this and correct it through training. Another item from the measure is, we who work here consider that safety training is good for preventing accidents. Would all students and teachers in your school agree with this statement? What kinds of physical and psychological safety training does your school have, and how effective do you think they are in keeping students and teachers safe? So I'll leave you with that question to discuss. Thank you very much for listening, and please feel free to get in contact with me if you have any questions.